What is up, guys? My name is Lex. Yesterday I played the craziest, the wildest, the biggest poker session of my entire life. I ended up playing a $20,000 pot. In this video I'm going to go over all the hands I played. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Let's get started. I arrive at Seminole Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida early on a Sunday, ready to battle in the mid-stake poker streets. Over the last 2.5 months, I've been on the biggest winning upswing I've ever had in my entire life. Currently, I've won $75,000 since February 20th playing poker. Unfortunately, in poker, sometimes what goes up must ultimately come down. I'm dreading the inevitable downswing that is most likely coming. Hopefully it doesn't start today though. I sit down with a 5-10 game where I win around $2,000 in about 2 hours. And then we end up starting a new 10, 25, 50 uncapped buy-in game. I sit with a little over $10,000 and immediately I get dealt an ace-king in the $50 straddle. There is an early position raise to $150, a small blind call for $150. I bump it up here to $650. The initial raiser only has about $2,000 in a stack, or maybe a little bit less. I'm expecting him to just go all in here or fold, but he decides to call $650. Small blind folds, and now we're heads up out of position to a deuce 3-4 two-spade board with 2 overcards, a straight draw. I put my opponent all in, and he folds. We win the first pot. We've got an interesting hand up next where there's a hijack raise to $150. I'm in the cutoff with pocket jacks, and given the fact that there's a few recreational players in the blinds, I elect not to 3-bet here in position. Trying to play some pots with them, well, they fold, and the straddle comes along with a call, so we go 3 ways where we flop an overpair on 7-8-4 with 2 clubs. Initial raiser in the hijack puts out a $300 c-bet. I'm not really too happy with this board. There's 2 pairs, straights, and sets I could be losing to. I don't see a point in raising here, so I make the call. Other player folds. Heads up now to the 9 of spades. My opponent now checks over to me. Once he checks here on this turn, I don't think we're ever losing here with pocket jacks. It's possible he could be pot controlling with aces or kings, but I don't think this opponent would be doing that, so I continue now for a $500 bet, which gets pretty quickly called. We're going to the river here with pocket jacks, and the river card is a red jack, giving me top set. A beautiful river card for us. Once my opponent checks to me for a second time, I really just think he's going to have a single pair here. However, all the flush draws miss. I can make it look bluffy here. If I did have a flush draw, I may want to bluff this river card with top set. I've got a bet, so I throw out $2,000. Now, I didn't even realize in real time that a 10 made a straight. I think I was just so excited to hit a set on the river, I didn't even realize that any 10 makes a straight, which makes this bet a little bit risky here. I mean, he can easily have a 10. He could have pocket 10s, he could have 10-9, 8-10, jack 10. All those hands we're losing to. He's got me covered by at least $10,000. I've got $7,000 left in my stack. If he check jams all in, I would be in a disgusting, nasty spot. But his body language that he's giving off looks like he's considering a fold or a call. Looks like he's considering a hero call here, and obviously that's what we want, holding top set. After thinking for roughly 90 seconds, my opponent finally puts in the chips. I show the top set of jacks, and it is good to take down over a $4,000 pot here. Now my stack's roughly $15,000 just about an hour into this 10-25 game. The run good continues. Up next, the cutoff races to 125. The button calls 125. I peel back black pocket kings and bump it here to 550. Unfortunately, they all fold. I show the table and take down the chips. There's a VIP player who raises here on the button to 125. The small blind calls. I call in the big blind with ace-9 suited and completely miss on a king 10-5 board. The action checks all the way around, and the turn card pairs the 5. Small blind checks again. I check again in the big blind, and now the button decides to bet $275. I do have a decent amount of history with this particular opponent. I definitely think it's possible he could be bluffing here with ace-high. We're most likely going to have the best hand after he did not c-bet on the flop. So I decided to make a light call down here with ace-9. figuring that I'm most likely ahead, and the river card is the 6 of hearts. I check over to my opponent. He thinks for a while and checks back, shows 6-7 of diamonds. He got there on the river with a pair, and we lose a small one. Fucking river, come on. Look what I call you with. I know you're bluffing.
I know you got queen jack.
No.
Close enough.
I know you're bluffing. You're lucky.
Yeah.
Next up, I get into a nice spot where there's a raise from the small blind to 125, a re-raise by the big blind to 400, and I peel back red kings in the straddle. I bump it up to $1,050. Small blind folds, but the big stack player to my right, who covers me, makes the call. This could be a big one. I've got $14K left in my stack, $2,000 plus in the middle. Heads up, 4-bet pot to ace, ace, queen, rainbow. Honestly, I do not like this board at all. He can easily have pocket queens here. He can have an ace for trips. So when he checks, I pot control and check this one back. Turn card, however, is nice. It's the king of clubs giving me a full house. My opponent checks again. I bet small, $500. He snap folds, and we win. When I used to wrestle in middle school and high school, my dad would always push me to wrestle against tougher opponents, stronger opponents, more skilled wrestlers, in hopes that I would get better at wrestling myself. This worked, and I ended up getting a college wrestling scholarship to Virginia Tech, and I try to use this same concept in poker. I try to go up against tougher opponents, players who have more experience, players who have more money than me, in hopes that it will make me a better poker player. Well, today it seems like it's working. I'm sitting on a 15.5K stack. This is one of the biggest stacks I've really ever had in poker. $15,000 on the table. However, after this next hand, everything is about to change. The cutoff player makes it $125. A new player on the button with a fresh 10K stack re-raises to $350, and we have aces in the big blind. What a beautiful spot. I decide to cold 4-bet here to $1,100. Cutoff player folds, but the button player wants to stick around. He doesn't think for too long before I hear him say, all in. Oh my God, what the hell is going on? I look up and all of his chips are in the middle, $10,000. I make this snap call. I show my pocket aces right away, and then I realize, holy shit, this is the biggest pot I've ever played in my entire life. He's got $10,000. I've got $15,000. This is a $20,000 pot, and I've got aces. If I lose this pot, it'll be by far the biggest pot I've ever lost. If I win, it'll be by far the biggest pot I've ever won. I decide to ask if he wants to run it once or twice. He leaves it up to me. So we decide to run out this board 2 times. $20,000 in the middle. Let's see if we can hold.
Get the diamond.
When he goes all in for $10,000, I put him on queens or kings, which have now made a set and are beating us. The second board comes out 10 high with 2 spades. I don't have a spade in my hand. The turn card's another spade. If he's got pocket kings with the king of spades, we could get scooped here on the river, but luckily it's a red card. I look over at him. He looks back at his cards and mucks. What an insane sweat that was. We get it all in with the best hand you can possibly get and hold over 2 runouts of profit, over $10,000 in one single poker hand. $20,000 pot being shipped back to us. One of the craziest spots I've ever been in over the 5 years I've played poker. Thank God we held in that situation. Now we have over a $25,000 stack sitting at this 1025 game. I'm not gonna lie, it feels pretty badass to have 2 $5,000 chocolate chips in front of me. Now it folds to me on the button. I've got queen 6 of clubs. I raise to 150 and only the straddler makes the call. Heads up to queen, queen, deuce, rainbow. We are running hot today, flopping trips. Straddle now leads out for $150. If he's bluffing here, I want to allow him to continue to bluff. If he's got a queen, he probably has a bigger kicker than us, so I elect to just call. Turn card 6 of diamonds. Now he slows down and checks. I bet out $200 and he snap calls my bet. Final card is a 7 of diamonds. A backdoor flush gets there. I put my opponent on hands like pocket 8s, 9s, or 10s, so I decided to go with a polarized bet sizing on the river here with my trips. I make it $1,100. The under the gun player doesn't think for too long before folding pocket 10s face up to me, and we end up winning this pot. I don't really like this sizing here on the river. I feel like I should have went a little bit smaller.
Or ace queen?
You can choose one.
Deuces?
Choose one.
That one.
This one?
Yeah, that's the ace.
Ah, fuck. God damn.
Ace queen, right?
No. Shortly after this hand, I decided to call it a session and cash out for over $25,000. The biggest cash out I've ever had, almost a $17K profit in a single day of playing poker. When I have a good day in poker, I've got to celebrate, so I decided to head up here to the bar and get myself a nice big glass of red wine. I then go down to the table games and gamble a little bit of low stakes blackjack before moving on to the brand new sports book they have here at the Qatar Hotel. I then watched the Florida Panthers win Game 3 of the playoffs in overtime fashion. Next up, I make a stop at Suppresso Italian restaurant where I get myself a large pizza to enjoy. And finally, I walk into Lavish Eyewear and buy myself a pair of $700 Gucci sunglasses to celebrate. Well, today was the sickest poker session I've ever played in my entire life. Over 5 years of playing poker for a living, and today was just the craziest, the biggest win, the biggest pot I've ever played as well. I ended up winning almost $17,000 in 7 hours of playing poker. It was just insane. Went to the 5-10 game, had a couple interesting hands there. Then I bought in for $10,000 at the 10-25-50 game. Everything just went my way. I won with ace king. I hit a set of jacks on the river. I got paid off. And then the biggest hand of the night, the biggest hand of the year, the biggest hand of this vlog, the biggest hand, the biggest pot of my entire life. I 4-bet pocket aces to $1,100. The button jams all in for $10,000. I've got aces. I snap call. We run it twice, and I hold to win a $20,000 pot. Just insane, just crazy. Just about 4 years ago, I was here at the Hard Rock playing 1-2 no limit. Now I'm playing $20,000 pots. I bought these Gucci glasses to celebrate. These things are like $700. Why not, you know? Let's splurge a little bit. I got some pizza, got some wine, got some Gucci glasses. I'm ready to go. I'm gonna head home. It's been a long day. I'm gonna hang out with my puppy. I'm gonna eat some chocolate. I'm gonna be back at it tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Please hit the like button, subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, I'll see ya.